Which has been your most difficult case?
Most difficult case, I think, has been Nirbhaya. Although the difficulty level of tracking it was not as much as some of the other cases that I've handled, but the overall situation has been the most trying and the most challenging. It was because of the pressures from the politicians, pressures from the crowd, the kind of media attention and world attention that the case was getting, and the pressure on me individually.
There was pressure on you to resign.
Yes.
I remember the headlines from the time. Even Justice Verma made a comment about, you were the commissioner of police at that time, just to put it in context for our audience today. And this horrific gang rape takes place of a 23-year-old medical student. It comes to be known as the Nirbhaya case. And you, as the police commissioner, are basically faced with the violation itself, the crowds who are on the streets protesting, and the political class. And there's an outcry like we've never seen before. Did you ever consider resigning at that time?
Not at all. Not in the least. For what? There is a horrific case every second week in Delhi. For instance, recently there has been such a horrific case in North Delhi.
Of the multiple stabbings of a young minor girl. Yes.
Then is it a reflection on the police? I think it's a reflection on the society, on the man who has committed that murder, on the crowd that had gathered there. Certainly not on the police, and least of all the police commissioner.
But the buck stops with the top, right?
No, the buck may stop, but it doesn't mean that the top should quit, should run away from the situation.
Did the chief minister at the time, who was Sheila Dikshit, she was the chief minister, but the police commissioner of Delhi, of course, doesn't report to the chief minister, you report to the home ministry. Did either the home minister or the chief minister ask you to quit?
Not personally.
But through messengers?
No. They were telling the media
that action will be taken.
Action should be taken. The commissioner should resign. The commissioner should be changed, and this and that. So it was all happening through the media and through other people. But nobody spoke to me directly. Nobody ever said you should go or why don't you resign. Nobody.
Describe your state of mind at that time.
I must say that unlike what others thought, I was very cool and composed. I knew.
You didn't think you were going to lose your job?
No, not in the least. Not even for a moment. Because I knew I was on a very firm ground. My boys had done nothing wrong. We had already made a breakthrough in the investigation within less than 24 hours. It happened at 10 p.m. on the 12th of December. 16th of December. And on the 17th at about 3 or 4 p.m., we had the first, culprit in our net, who was Ram Singh, the driver. And we already knew what had happened. So that quick was the investigation, and an absolutely blind case. All that we knew from the eyewitness, that there was this bus, white bus with Yadav written on it. And we had cracked the case, we had traced the bus, and we had traced the driver. So, and we already knew who the others were. So why should the police resign or police chiefs resign?
You remember what happened after that? You had mass protests and you had all kinds of people. You had genuine sort of students out there, young women marching for women's rights. You also had possibly people looking to create trouble. But what the world saw was a mass movement of women out on the streets marching for women. And the police handling of the crowds was not appreciated. Was that a mistake?
No, police handling was not appreciated till when? Till the 22nd, when we used force.
Yes, I'm talking about the use of force.
Yeah, so between the commencement
16th.
of the, and till that date, everything was fine. But
why did you use force?
We had to use force because at Hyderabad House, the head of state of Russia was coming. The next day, there was a state dinner for him. The crowds had already gone berserk. They were resorting to arson. If you recall, Doordarshan vehicle was burnt, set to fire. All the poles that had been set up on Rajpath for the 26th January parade, they had been pulled out, and the policemen were being assaulted with them. If you recall, one of the head constables lost his life also. Uh, and everything was, and every kind of assurance given to the crowd was going totally unheard. I mean, no heed was being paid to them. The government announced that Justice Verma committee had been appointed to look into the rape laws. Then Justice Usha Verma committee,
I forget her name.
yeah,
Yeah.
Usha Mehra, Justice
Usha
Usha Mehra committee had been appointed to look into police failure, if any, and if anyone was found guilty, he would be punished, etc., etc. And mind you, all these committees were formed on my suggestion. This is not known. I have written in my book, Khaki Files, that when the government was looking for a solution, they asked me that what should we do. The cabinet secretary asked me, and I said, sir, whenever a crowd like this gathers, they, at the end of it, they want to go home having achieved something. So let us announce something which would satisfy them. They said, what could that be? I said, sir, they are protesting against weak rape laws. So let us form a judicial committee to look into rape laws. They are looking into police failures, if there were any. So let us appoint a committee, judicial committee, to look into police response to the whole incident. And the government did that immediately, and even after that, the crowd was not prepared to disperse, and they resorted to arson and so on and so forth.
But did you feel, today you have the benefit of time. You can look back at it more calmly. When you were in that moment, did you feel that so many decades of my career, and now this moment could make or break me?
You put it very well, Barkha, because I was very proud of what I had done all through my career, my days in the CBI, my various assignments in the Delhi police. And I thought that if this incident goes haywire or awry, then my entire, shall I say, body of work will be washed away. And nobody will remember me for what I had done.
Earlier.
And they will say, oh, this was the guy who was punished for Nirbhaya.
Yeah.
So to that extent, I was very worried. But when everything failed, and mind you, I have no hesitation in telling you that the order to use force was mine and mine alone. I was observing everything from the control room, from our communication room, where I could see visuals of what was happening. And I gave the orders that now resort to force, disperse the crowd, use water cannon, now use tear gas shells, now cane charge and disperse at any cost. Short of using firing, do everything to disperse the crowd. It was my decision. I have no.
And do you look back at it with any?
No, none whatsoever,
regret?
because we were left with no option. There was
Because of the state visit, or because it was unraveling the situation?
The overall situation. State visit was just one factor. When the crowd goes out of control, when they're resorting to arson, they're resorting to violence against policemen and against common members of public, and so on and so forth.